What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Pokeball YouTube channel. I'm Dan Spielvogel checking in, and we're going to talk about the men's Final Four. That's right. On Saturday night, the men's Final Four will begin. We have four outstanding teams remaining in this field. We have our Cinderella and NC State as an 11 seed, only the seventh 11 seed to ever make the Final Four. They'll take on a top seed Purdue, who's making their first Final Four appearance in almost 45 years. Also, in the other game, you have the defending champions UConn Huskies looking to go back-to-back for the first time since the Florida Gators in 2006-2007. And then they will face Alabama, who's in the tournament, a 4-seed Alabama, who's in the tournament for the first time, for the Final Four for the first time ever in school history. So we got a lot to get into. But first, if you have not already, like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. So let's dive right in. So we're going to start off with our first game. It is at 6 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday. You have the Cinderella NC State taking on Purdue. And so the opening line for the game is Purdue is laying 9.5 points. And I gotta say, Purdue definitely has shown a lot of improvements, especially with their guard play and their outside shooting. Last year, their biggest problem was outside shooting and guard play and inexperience at the guard position. And that's why they got upset by FDU, because they couldn't handle pressure. This year, a lot better handling pressure. Braden Smith has really improved at the point guard position. And adding Lance Jones was such a nice addition to this team because he can really shoot the rock and he can defend your best player. And then, of course, you got Zach Edey inside. Just such a tough cover for any big man or any team, just because he does what he does so well is draw fouls and gets the opponent's big men in early foul trouble and gets to the line so much. And he's actually an okay average free throw shooter. He actually used to be a terrible free throw shooter, but it's now around 70-71%, which is at least a league average. It's about average. And he averages a double-double, 25 and 12, probably could be the National Player of the Year for the second consecutive year. But then you got this NC State team with DJ Burns, who's a really good big man that has the muscle to at least give Zach Edey some problems defensively. As long as Burns avoids foul trouble, NC State has a chance to stay in this game. But Burns can give Edey some problems on the offensive end because Burns has a game on offense that reminds me of the late Escalade of And1 Street Ball. I mean, the guy is just so smooth for a big man. It's really good footwork, soft touch around the rim. He's just so skilled, and he's having a fantastic tournament. He went off against Duke, and he's had some really, really good games. And I think if Burns has another one of those good games, NC State not only has a chance to cover, they have a chance to win outright. And DJ Horn's having a great tournament as well. He's actually their leading scorer, about 17 a game. Very solid player all around. Grad transfer. A lot of grad transfers on this team. In fact, NC State, all 5 of their players, their starters, are transfers. And then they have Mo Diarra, grabs a lot of rebounds. He's averaged about 8 rebounds a game. And he's had some double-doubles in this tournament, cleaning up the glass. And I'm going to say, what can I say about Michael O'Connell? I mean, without his shot against Virginia, they wouldn't even be in the spot right now. They would probably be in the NIT. So you got to give them a ton of credit for even making it here. So, yeah. So let's reflect on how these teams got here. NC State, bid stealer out of the ACC. They beat North Carolina. They won 5 games in 5 days in the ACC tournament. Beat Texas Tech in the first round, 80-67. They started and built some momentum. Their toughest game actually was their second round game against Oakland. The only game they were actually favored in this NCAA tournament. And it took them overtime to get it done against a pesky Oakland team, but they got it done 79-73. Then they upset Marquette 67-58, did a great job defensively holding a very good Marquette offense under 60 points. And then they beat Duke, a rivalry game. They beat Duke for the second time in a span of a month. So they beat them 76-64, 55 points in the second half for NC State in that game. And if they can put up 55 and a half against Purdue, they can win. They will win this game. And then Purdue, coming off that bad loss in 16 seed last year, they're in redemption tour, just like kind of like what Virginia did in 2019. 2018, they lost to UMBC in the first round to a 16 seed, first time ever. 2019, they responded by winning the whole darn thing. Purdue has the chance to do the same exact thing. They beat Grambling in the first round, 78-50. It was pretty close in the first half, and then they pulled away in the second half. Utah State dominated that game start to finish, 106-67. Then Gonzaga, it was kind of a tight game, especially in the first half, and then Purdue pulled away, 80-68. And then very good game against Tennessee. They beat them 72-66. Zach Edey had 40 in that game. If Edey goes for like 30, 35, 40, Purdue's going to win the game. And then, but they need those guards to hit threes. That's the key. If Purdue can knock down those outside shots when Edey gets double, triple teamed, Purdue's going to win the game. So the play here for this game is North Carolina State at plus 9.5. I think this is going to be a close game. I think I even like the value on the money line actually at plus 340. For a value play. I feel like this game can really go either way, and I just think that 9.5 is kind of disrespectful for this NC State team. I gotta go with NC State actually to upset Purdue. I think they beat them outright, and they will go to the national championship. They will be the first 11 seed to win a Final Four game. So I got NC State over Purdue. And then finally, we got UConn and Alabama. All right, so this game is opening up at 11.5. UConn laying 11.5 against Alabama. Alabama can really score the basketball. This is the highest scoring offense in the country. They have no problem dropping 90, 100 points per game. Doesn't matter. Like this is a team that has a lot of offensive talent. Defensively, they suck. They allow over 80 points per game. They tend to get in a lot of shootouts and a lot of track meets. Mark Sears, fantastic player. I mean, he leads the Alabama in scoring, 21.5 points per game. Really good 3-point shooter and such a good creator as well. And then you have like guys like Grant Nelson, Aaron Estrada. They brought in from mid majors, and both of them have played key roles on their teams as well. And so yeah, if Alabama knocks down those threes, and then they speed up Connecticut, I think they have a chance. So let's look at how Alabama got to this Final Four for the first time ever. So they beat College of Charleston in the first round in an absolute shootout, 109-96. Alabama actually dominated this game. It actually really wasn't this close. They were up by at least 30 and like midway late to the second half. So they actually really dominated that game. It was just a really high scoring game. Grand Canyon, a very pesky Grand Canyon team in the second round. They beat them 72-61. GCU missed a lot of free throws in that game. They could have won that game against Alabama. But Alabama was very fortunate to escape that one. Because they were actually trailing late in that game, and then Bama pulled away. And then the Sweet 16 game against UNC, great game. 89-87 was the final there. Grant Nelson had a fantastic game against Carolina to advance them to the Elite Eight. And then they beat Clemson, 89-82, so another ACC team they took out. And Clemson, yeah, it was a good game. And Alabama is on to the Final Four. And now you get to face the defending champions, the UConn Huskies. Just been steamrolling teams in the March Madness tournament for the last 2 years. They have been winning by double digits every single time, and they're actually laying 11.5. And I think this line is actually too low. With how they've been playing. So they steamrolled Stetson by 40, 91-52, in the first round. Left no doubts that they're the champs and they're going to send the message. Their closest game was actually Northwestern in the second round, 75-58. So yeah, UConn dominated the first half, and then Northwestern trying to chip away and come back in the second half, but UConn didn't allow that. So it was 75-58 final there. And then they beat the defending runner-ups in the rematch of last year's title game. They beat San Diego State by 30, 82-52. They absolutely destroyed them and made it no contest in the second half. It was actually pretty tight in the first half, but then they pulled away in the second half and did not look bad. And then Illinois, same thing with Illinois. Very tight first half. It was actually tied at 23. And you want to guess what kind of run UConn went on to really pull away? They scored the next 30 points. They went from 23-23 to 53-23. Just like that. I mean, and then they won 77-52. So they held a really, really good Illinois offense to 52 points. This is an Illinois team that was scoring like constant 80s, even in the 90s. They can do the same thing to Alabama, who scores in the 80s and 90s consistently. They can hold them to under 60. That's how good this UConn team. Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, one of the best backcourts in the country, and Donovan Clingan inside at 7'2", can really give these Alabama bigs some problems. But I gotta go with UConn. They're gonna roll over Alabama. I would lay the 11.5. I think they're gonna win by at least 20 points. So give me UConn over Alabama. And then my final, I got UConn and NC State in the championship game. And I feel like this is where the Cinderella run comes to an end for NC State, unfortunately. And even though I want NC State to win the national title for the first time since 1983, that Jimmy V year, but I just think UConn repeats. This team is just too good. And they have been so good in March, and they've been dominating everyone that steps in their way. So I'm going with UConn to repeat as national champions, and they're going to win by double digits again. So if you have not already, subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm Dan Spielvogel signing out.